All right, welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Virgil Bunau. I'm a wedding photographer, entrepreneur based here in Charleston, South Carolina. Today I have a very special guest. She is a very good friend of mine. I photographed her wedding. I love her husband. I love her. Photographed her for her blog, and she's a fashion blogger that's just really making a lot of really, really cool stuff on the internet. And I don't want to just drag the introduction. I want to just really go ahead and just talk to her. So I want to welcome Mrs. Jillian Eversole.
Thank you so much for having me.
How are you?
I'm great, thanks. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for driving all the way to Somerville to our studio. And
Of
I know it's
course.
quite a drive from Charleston, but hopefully
I
you.
had no traffic. I actually flew here.
Oh, nice.
Mhm.
With your helicopter? I heard.
I wish.
Uh,
I flew down the highway here.
So what's funny about our studio, we have this natural sound in the background. So from time to time, you're going to hear a siren, which
Okay.
it never fails.
Perfect.
There's always a siren.
I'll be waiting for it.
All right. So, Jillian,
Yes.
tell me or tell us a little bit
Okay.
about, give us some context on, you're a fashion blogger. And you're
Yes.
big on Instagram. You've got a blog, Rhyme
And
and
reason.
Reason.
Yes.
Give us some context on how you got started with blogging.
So I started my blog a million years ago when I was in college. Actually, my senior year, my first semester senior year was very challenging. I was writing a thesis. I was a TA. I was very busy. And then my second semester was much easier. And blogging used to be really different. It was on Blogger instead of hosted now on WordPress. And I posted recipes, magazine editorials I liked, the playlists I made that I listened to during finals. Totally different, not revenue based at all, and more just my blog still is inspiration, but back then all blogs were purely really inspiration.
Was this on blogger.com?
Yes.
Okay. I
Yes.
think when I started a blog,
Yes.
it was free and
Yes, exactly.
Got it.
Free. Everybody started their blogs back in the day on Blogger.
yes.
Yes. And now a lot of people some people have Squarespace, a lot of bloggers have WordPress.
Got it.
Yeah, so it was very different. And I did it just for fun, really nothing else in mind other than fun. And then I graduated from college and I moved to Los Angeles for grad school. And I was so busy in grad school. I was teaching all day and then taking classes all night. So I didn't have time. So I kind of stopped my blog, put it on the back burner, and then I started teaching second grade. And then I ultimately moved to kindergarten. While I was teaching second grade and kindergarten, I started it again, just also for fun and as a side project. When you're a teacher, you give yourself all day to your students and you don't really do that much for yourself. So I liked the idea of coming home and doing something for myself. And by that point in time, blogging had changed a little bit too, and there was some room to make us income from blogging. So then I kind of started subsidizing my teaching salary with income I was making from my blog. So, but it was very much my side project until my husband Edwin and I moved to Charleston and I started doing it full time.
When did you switch from Blogger to like more legit platform? Like, what is it? Are you on WordPress or
Yes.
What was next after Blogger?
So I just went from Blogger to WordPress.
WordPress.
When did I do that? That's a great question. It might have been after grad school when I picked my blog back up. And
Okay.
that's when I started to become more serious about it. And blogging, by that point in time too, the nature of it had changed. So I was resharing less images and creating more original content. So that's when I started shooting outfits
Gotcha.
as well and started treating it like, I still wasn't quite treating it like a business, but I was treating it as much like a business as I knew how to do at that point in time.
So how old are you? How old were you when you started?
Let's see, I graduated college in 2012 and I graduated grad school in 2014. So I was 24, 25 when I started, 25 probably when I started doing it more seriously. But
Yeah.
it was still always a side project
Right.
while I was teaching.
But the Blogger you started in high school,
College. Oh, so that I started 2012. Yeah, 2011.
and you were
Senior in college.
In college.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, for the older folks out there that are listening,
Yes.
that are not familiar with this industry.
Right.
Fashion blogging, also known as influencer marketing, I guess,
Yes,
right? Is
definitely.
am I right there?
Absolutely.
What does influencer marketing and fashion blogging mean, and how does it work?
So, great question. Influencer marketing is just a form of marketing. I guess you could say back in the day, brands, there was a point in time where their main goal was to get featured, which was still the goal, but it used to be in a very different avenue. So, magazines, when magazines were king, you as a brand, you'd want to find a placement in a magazine. Even, billboards at one point in time were the best way to get your brand FaceTime with consumers. Magazines were huge. As magazines kind of started dying out, they moved to .com, and that's kind of when the influencer was born. And so it's just brands. It's the same marketing principles. It's brands that are trying to get their product or their line or their message out in front of consumers, and they're using influencers instead of other platforms like magazines as the outlet. So influencers, fashion bloggers or fashion influencers are, their main vertical would be talking about clothing brands per se, but you're also getting influencers that just specialize in beauty. And they're working with Pantene Pro V and Essie and all these huge brands that we've heard of forever that have moved away from print media more into digital and more into influencer marketing. And you get cooking influencers, everything, home influencers, any type, anything that can be marketed, there is an influencer marketing it. Toothpaste, like truly anything. Cameras, 100%, anything. So that's kind of how it started. And then it's been so successful because if you think about before, and it still goes on, celebrities are influencer marketers, but we don't know celebrities. And generally, now with social media, it's a little bit different, but generally celebrities are much more private because they have to be. And influencers, in many ways, are not very private. So they're sharing their life with people. So people are buying into the product so that they're promoting much more because they feel like they're in their bathroom with them and they see them get ready in the morning, and then they see their beauty look when they go out and they want to have that blush or that lipstick. And so they're buying it because they feel like they can relate to the influencer. And so that's kind of how influencer marketing has been so successful, because you can kind of buy into the lifestyle of the person that you're following.
I feel like we're just in the beginning of this phenomenon. It's crazy, and it's kind of exciting. And I have a lot of questions. It seems like we can be here a week, but let me ask this next question. Is there really an opportunity to make a living being a fashion blogger or being a blogger, period? Is it really profitable?
Yes, there's definitely, I wouldn't say that you should start a blog with the idea of that I'm going to kill it overnight and make a living and have this huge following and get these massive brand partnerships, because it really just doesn't work like that. Like I said, you're kind of selling your whole lifestyle, so you have to get followers and have them get to know you and feel like you're forming connections with them, and you're having conversations with them over direct messages on Instagram and over email and comments on your blog. And over time, this all grows. And while you're forming relationships with your followers and your readership, you're also hopefully naturally and organically talking about the brands that you wear and use, the cleaning supplies you use, the clothing companies that you wear, the cameras that you swear by. All of that, you're doing it naturally. You're tagging it on social media. The brands are getting aware. Some PR people start following you, and it kind of all spirals. But there's definitely room, I think, for everybody. It's such an oversaturated market, but you can never, I don't think, have too many people if they have great original ideas.
Yeah.
And they're creative and inspired and motivated by what they're working on. So I would say it's definitely possible to have a career, but it doesn't happen overnight. And there's a path of growth, but it's not in 1 year I for sure will hit this benchmark, and it's not a clear ladder, I guess I would say.
It's still a lot of work.
Yes, it's a lot of work. Tons of people do it full time.
Right.
Yes.
So going back to doing it naturally, you have to, sorry, I keep messing with my headphones because I can hear both of us. So doing it naturally, that means you have to use these products that you like. You can't just fake it.
Correct. Yes. Faking it doesn't really work. And now the influencer marketing has been around for a little bit longer. Brands and PR agencies and companies that work with partnering brands with influencers have been able to see that really when an influencer is using a product day in, day out, and their readers and stuff have already seen them using it, or they're incorporating it over and over again instead of just in one static blog post or one static Instagram post, that it then is doing way better, and the conversion rates are better, and everything's better. The likes are better, the comments are better, the purchases are better. So if you're naturally a fan of the brand, it definitely pays off. And when influencers are promoting stuff that it's pretty clear that they wouldn't normally be wearing or using, or they've never used it before, they just did it and have used it for 1 week before they did this post, it generally shows. Because if they're sharing their life and people are dedicated and following them closely, then you can tell when it's not organic and it's just, I only did this to be paid for it and I don't really stand behind this product or this brand.
So what have you turned down brands?
Yes. I turned down, and I think any influencer would say this, I turn down way more than I accept. But you also, once your email address gets out there, kind of in the world of PR, you get offered a lot. So I'm getting offered stuff every single day. Not all of it is paid. Some of it's gifted. Some of it's for exchange. Some of it's paid. But most of it, I just don't. Yeah.
So you have turned down some paid stuff because it didn't fit.
Yes.
Your strategy or
Correct.
your brand.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they're paying, they're like, well, it's not really.
Yes. When you start, it can be difficult to do that because the idea of turning down money, like in most jobs, if somebody offered you payment or a raise, you would be like, great, I've been working hard for this. Why would I turn this down?
Right.
In this industry, though, you'll do a couple of those and then you'll see them not convert well. And then you feel badly because you want to perform well for the brand that's paying you. Mm-hmm. But then you kind of can dive into why didn't that perform well? Well, because that really wasn't on brand for me, or I've never talked about cameras before in my life, and all of a sudden I'm saying I cannot live without this one camera. Like, people are going to be a little puzzled by that. So I feel like many influencers will take a sponsored project or two that they might not fully stand behind in the beginning. They'll see kind of the repercussions, how it doesn't perform well, and you learn from your mistakes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So how does one get started? You have
Great
to have
question.
an Instagram and you have to have a
Yes.
blog, a website.
Yes. Now you really have to have all the social channels. When I started, you didn't really. And when I started my blog more for inspiration too, Instagram came out my senior year of college.
Gotcha.
And so it was totally different then. I was just posting photos out with my friends. So it was completely different than what it is now. But I would say to start, get a name that you like and that you think you're going to like in years down the road. The easiest thing is your actual name. If I did JillianEversole.com or Jillian.Eversole, something that was available, you're never going to not like your name. And then create social handles, Instagram and Facebook and Pinterest, I think being the most valuable and most important. And
Top 3.
Yes,
Definitely.
unless you do video, in which case YouTube. But for sure, top 3. Facebook and Instagram go hand in hand. Instagram is more valuable, but you can't do some sponsored posts and content on Instagram without having a page on Facebook because Facebook owns Instagram. And then so much of influencer marketing is image driven, so Pinterest is still king for referrals. Lots of people are seeing images, they're circulating on Pinterest, and you're clicking through, and that's how you get a lot of juice to your website.
How does that work with Pinterest? Do you upload the photos too, or do you pin your own stuff from your website?
Yes, you pin your own stuff from your website, and then hopefully other people are pinning from your Pinterest board or also pinning from your website, so your photos are getting out there. Yeah, so I would say set up the social and do it mindfully. Treat it as a business. If you want to do it purely for fun and you're not looking for it to be a business, then have at it. But if you ultimately do want to make money, or you want to work with brands, or you're passionate about creating content, then treat it from as a business from day one, and get the social channels, get the website, get the name. And then I really think that branding is massively important if you want to treat it as a business. So I would create your logo, start creating your whole brand identity with branding when you create your website, and then have that bleed over to your social channels. And the other thing would be photography. Now, the nature of it used to be you could just upload iPhone photos to websites, and you definitely still can, especially if you are talented with an iPhone camera. But professional photography goes a long way, I think, especially to on a website. On Instagram, I recommend doing both, but on a website, professional photography is great, and brands respect that too.
How do you know what? Let's say you get all that set up. How do you know what to talk about, what to take pictures of? Like,
right.
How do you know you want to go into fashion or cameras or tools or
right.
food?
I would say that is kind of one of the things people say, like, I want to start a blog, but I don't know what to write about. If you don't know what to write about, then I think you should be asking yourself, why do you want to start a blog? Is it because you want to share just you and your lifestyle? Then that is what you're writing about. You're writing about you, like what you buy at the grocery store, what you do day in and day out, and people really do love reading that. But if you say, I want to start a blog because I want to get free beauty products in the mail, and I maybe want to go on a free trip one day, and I want to make money, you're definitely not going to be successful because you don't already have your niche or your brand identity intact if your brand identity is only to make money. So I would say if you want to start a blog, really ask yourself what it is you want to write about. Like, are you the one that's always baking the treats for your kids for school activities, and people are always asking you, like, I'm throwing a birthday party, can you make the cake? You're specializing in that, then you should make a baking blog. And you can even make it as specific as not cooking. You can go all in on baking if you want, and then expand to cooking.
Right.
Or if everybody's always stopping you and asking you, where did you get that dress? That's so cute. And if you've got an eye and you can put together outfits, then, and you feel really confident in it, then go in fashion. If you are a camera expert, go into talking about travel photography.
What about the ones that want to say, I want to do everything, I'm good at everything?
Yes, that is a bold strategy.
Right.
I think, and kind of research shows, that people are more successful, especially in influencer marketing, when they focus on what they're best at and doing it really well. So people who have lifestyle brands, often they might be a celebrity like Gwyneth Paltrow and Goop. That's fully a lifestyle brand because she can have a whole team behind her and bring in crazy specialists and whatnot from all over the place. But if you're a one-man shop like many influencers are, or you have a very small team, then sometimes trying to be an expert in everything, you can overextend yourself and not really perform to the best of your abilities, and then that stops you early on from creating that strong brand identity that people say, like, I follow Jillian because I love her clothes, or I follow so-and-so because her travel content is the best I've ever seen. Most of the time when people think about a blogger or an influencer, you can ask them, why do you love them? And they say, like, their baking recipes, their outfits, their beauty tips for going out at night. Like, people know why they follow people, and it's usually not for the whole lifestyle right up front. To caveat off of that, I do think a lot of influencers are great at starting kind of at one thing and then bleeding into others. Once they've really got their footing and they're talking about fashion marketing all the time, it seems really natural to then go into beauty. So then they'll go down that avenue, or they might go into travel and say, like, these are my travel outfits, and kind of keep the fashion going, but bringing fashion into a new vertical, which would be travel.
So that's kind of like, I guess that's what I was going to ask next. Like, how did you know at the beginning that you're going to be in fashion? So you started you kind of just went micro niche to what you love, and then now you're doing travel and beauty. And
I started with fashion because that's what I liked. I like other things. I like beauty. It doesn't get me out of bed in the morning. I'm not crazy passionate about it. I really like trying new recipes and baking more than cooking, but I'm by no means an expert in it. Not to say that I'm an expert in fashion, but it is something that I feel confident in. I love following fashion, the direction that the industry is going, what's going on with on that fashion week that's bleeding out into our consumer,
Yeah.
what we're buying. I just have always found it fascinating. So something I was interested in and enjoyed reading about and enjoyed bringing into my life. So it seemed like the natural fit for me.
That's awesome. So let's talk about that expertise. So basically what you're saying is you don't have to be an expert. People are trying to be too much of a perfectionist.
Yes.
And really it's you can start and just start with what you know and what you're passionate about, what you like.
Yes.
And then
definitely
go
niche
from there.
can be the strongest route to take. Talk about what you're passionate about, because that will bleed through. People are like, wow, she's so knowledgeable, or he's so knowledgeable in this. I read this one blog post about how to get started with photography. Now I'm dying to know what he thinks about how to master depth of field, or the difference between a Nikon and a Canon, or why he uses a Leica camera or whatnot. I know this much about photography from my husband, but if you seem very passionate about one thing and you're really knowledgeable, you can keep writing blog posts about it and people follow your train of thought. And then naturally people will ask you, like, I love how you shot. If you get into food photography or travel photography or shooting fashion bloggers. So things do naturally kind of spiral, but I definitely think it's best to be confident and be an expert and be niche, grow your following, and then take them with you along for the ride as you expand your content.
You've been doing this for how long now?
A couple years. Yes, you definitely learn a lot as you go. I didn't know any of this.
You've been doing this more than 2 years, though. What's
full time for about 2 years?
Yeah.
Yes.
But you started it
Before. Yes. When I was what did I say? 2015? Did I say?
So
yes.
4 years.
Yes.
How long does it take to build that following?
It takes a long time.
And it's a lot of work and consistent.
Consistency is key, and engagement is key. If you're specifically talking about a following on Instagram, because they're constantly changing their algorithm, and it's not nearly as easy to grow as it used to be, and getting featured on big Instagram accounts doesn't really have that much return anymore. Engagement is key. Engaging with your followers, reaching out to your friends and commenting on their photos and being really engaged, and then reaching out to their followers and really trying to create a community online, which can be difficult because you don't know these people face to face.
Let's talk about the business aspect of it.
Yes.
Let's dive into the most popular question. How do you make money? How does it work?
Right. So there's two main ways that influencers make money. The first is through affiliate marketing, and that you can do right out of the bat. So you can do it no matter how big or small you are. And affiliate marketing is when you work with a company. The two kind of biggest ones are a company called Reward Style out of Texas, and then Shop Style. I think they're in California. They're California based. I work with Reward Style, and they have partnerships with brands that they onboard, and then they onboard influencers, and you work with them to create affiliate links. So if you've got an account with Reward Style, and then I go to jcrew.com and I'm obsessed with this pink blush sweater for fall, I use my Reward Style platform to create an affiliate link, which is a specific link to me. And then I'm talking about the sweater, I'm raving about it on my website, and I'm putting it on my social media. And if people click through that affiliate link and purchase the sweater or something else within a time frame on jcrew.com, then I get a small percentage from that sale. So it's different for every brand. The percentages can be as low as 5%. They can be as high as 30% or even more. And it just ranges. Reward Style, you have to apply and be accepted. And Shop Style, you can just join. So those are two great ways to start kind of making some money.
Is there an upfront fee?
Nope, no fee. You don't pay to be a part of it at all.
And then so the link will be on your blog, on your website.
Yes.
You promote it on your Instagram.
Correct.
To kind of drive people to your website.
Exactly.
Got it.
Yes. And then the other way would be through sponsored content. So that is when you are working directly with a brand or you're working with a PR agency that's representing the brand and they are paying you to promote their product.
Per post or?
It can totally depend. It can be per post. Sometimes you just do one-off Instagrams or Instagram stories. In an ideal world, you would form a relationship with the brand because those posts generally perform well and perform better because people see like the longevity in that relationship and they're like, wow, she's still talking about J. Crew sweaters, like no matter the season, you know, something like that. So you can be paid per post or kind of per relationship, and throughout the year your contract can dictate that you do a certain number of posts or a certain number of stories or mention the brand a certain number of times, organic, not really organically, but filter it through. So yes.
So this is depends. Like a thing now, like an agreement between a brand and a.
Oh yeah, you
so
sign.
It just kind of manifested
contracts.
itself to this more formalized.
Yes, it used to be
sales employment kind of.
Correct. Yeah. Yes. So basically, influencer marketers are just independent contractors that are hired on to promote a product or a brand or a product release or something like that. And then sometimes it ends after there. Sometimes they're long-term contracts. Sometimes the contract ends. They're like, we loved working with you this spring. Can we talk about our summer collection as well? And if you both had a good agreement, then you negotiate and you sign a new contract. And
right.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put you on the spot. Just give us a little context on some examples, some tactical stuff that a lot of people that are thinking about diving into fashion blogging. So you don't have to mention the brand. So give us an example of a contract, quote unquote, or an agreement between a brand as far as posting, like that you have experienced in the past.
Okay. So, well, tell me if I'm answering your question.
So like, I guess, okay, this brand pays me $100 per post.
Right. I would say so. It really depends, and that's kind of one of the things that's so interesting about this industry is that so much of it really is hush hush and behind closed doors, and you don't really talk about it because brands will pay people more or less, and kind of if you're good at negotiating and giving them results of, hey, last time when I worked with a similar client, this was the return that I gave them, and you can really vouch for yourself, then you can definitely get more money out of your contract. So It also depends on how much of an advocate you are for yourself. But I have about 17,000 Instagram followers. And for an Instagram post, I'll get paid as little as $200, and then I'll get paid as much as $1,200. So it really depends, and it depends on if I am obsessed with the brand and I know they're a small brand and I've met them and I would promote them even if they weren't paying me. I'm definitely happy doing it for less because I also want to support them. I know they're a small business too, and I hopefully see room for growth as we both grow, developing the relationship.
And you're building relationships.
Yes, exactly. And then usually the bigger brands, sometimes they have more capital and they're you're not working directly with the brand, you're working with a PR agency on behalf of the brand.
Right.
And they have a lot more muscle and money behind them and huge campaigns. And they're working with influencers as small as 1,000 followers, micro influencers as they're called, to massive influencers that have 1 and 2 million Instagram followers.
What are those micro influencers?
That is influencers that have smaller following. People will say different numbers, but generally under 20 or 20,000 Instagram followers. And it used to be brands would really go for the heavy hitters over 100,000 followers or over 250,000 followers and above. But then you get a lot. They might have 1 million followers, but there's less engagement. And some of those followers, they're not coming up on their feeds because their algorithm and whatnot. So these micro influencers have smaller followers. But the idea is that people are following a micro influencer. It's because they really like them. Or they might just follow a huge influencer because everyone's following them. It's kind of interesting. We'll see. And they live a crazy life, or I like their life, but I can't relate to it.
Yeah.
But a more micro influencer, they're buying their products more. They're relating to them more. So that there's a movement to see a lot of value in smaller influencers because they can convert more with their smaller following because the smaller following is more engaged.
And do brands just randomly send you stuff for free also as part of compensation? Or let's say, hey, we don't have any money, but we'll send you free stuff. Can you post it?
Yes, that happens a lot. And I generally try not to do that because for a number of reasons. One, it just creates, we just get so many packages and you kind of can't go through it all and use it all, especially beauty, because you'll get a package that's just loaded with beauty stuff. And if it's stuff you don't need, then it just really sits there and it becomes waste. And I don't love that idea. And
is your address out there that people just
it can get on PR lists, yes.
Oh,
and
okay.
now there's kind of a movement of influencers are asking to be taken off gifting campaign lists because they're just big influencers just getting
inundated with
product.
with boxes and boxes.
Exactly. So there's that, and then there is kind of respect for the brands and the partnerships that are paying me. Is they're paying me, so I want to respect that they see the value in me and that they're investing their time and money in me. So then if I'm turning around for a similar brand and doing it for free, I feel like that's kind of doesn't respect the paying relationship that I have and that I've worked hard to form. So it kind of comes at it from that perspective. And my husband takes my photos, so I'm very fortunate, but most influencers are paying a photographer. So you're spending a ton of time creating the content, shooting with the photographer, then you have to pay the photographer out of pocket. So if you're posting stuff for brands for free, many brands, it's the nature of it. They don't have a budget and they're growing, which is totally respectable. But in some cases, brands are kind of trying to use influencers as a way to get content by professional photographers without actually spending any money. So if you're working hard and you can vouch for yourself, then I think you should be able to say like, hey, I have to pay my photographer this, or these are kind of the fees that would go into this, and I really have to do it for this price. And if not, I have to walk away, but I really like you and I'll find a way to mention you organically. Let's touch base in 6 months and see where we're both at type thing.
So for somebody new that's just starting, how
Yes.
do they start just buying stuff and they start posting, start taking photos? And then, I mean, it's an initial investment, obviously, because you don't have brands. If you have zero
Right.
followers and you're trying
Yes.
to earn 10 followers,
Yes.
how does that work?
So that's also a little different because when I started, it wasn't necessarily the pressure of the financial investment because I wasn't bloggers, I guess back then weren't really making money. So now you're definitely, if you're doing outfits and you're not getting gifted clothes or you're not doing paid partnerships with brands where they're sending you the clothes to wear and promote, then you are paying for clothes. So it can be kind of tricky. You buy your clothes and you feature them, and then sometimes you feel like, oh shoot, that was a really bright pink dress, like I can't really wear that again. It was already all over my Instagram and everywhere. If you are creative with it, then you are buying pieces that you can rewear, and there's a lot of value too in saying, what's the word I'm looking for? Some bloggers have dedicated series where they're re-wearing pieces, where they're like, this is a skirt, you've seen me wear it here before. Here's a new way I'm styling it for this season with booties and a denim jacket instead of sandals and a scarf or something from summer to fall. So you do kind of have to be smart about it. And really that's the way it is in real life. People are re-wearing clothes all the time. So I do think that a lot of followers and readers like when bloggers are re-wearing stuff and showing how to restyle stuff and resurface things from their closet.
Can they just start just what's in their closet?
Definitely. Yes. That's how I started, just wearing stuff that was in my closet.
Right.
Yeah.
If you have tried to wear a pair of shoes that are cute that you've already worn already, tag them.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, accessories and shoes, I feel like you rewear those all the time, like, especially too if I get like a new purse for kind of spring and summer. I'm carrying that thing in all my photos.
Yeah.
So
Purse.
yes, purses, sunglasses, shoes, hats, scarves, jewelry, earrings, exactly, stuff like that. You really rewear that all the time in your outfits, and generally you're styling it kind of with different clothes so you can kind of make it look different or dress a purse up or down, and you can talk about how you wore it last week really casually, you carried it to the beach, and this week you're wearing it out to date night, and you show how the rest of your outfit allows you to move the purse from different types of wear. Yes.
So, but these brands, obviously, you're getting paid now for these brands. So you have a contract with some of them, or all, if not all of them. They send you the samples that they want you to take photos of and post,
usually,
and pay you.
So I would say with clothes, not all of my posts are sponsored. I'm still wearing a lot of stuff from my closet that I just love, but still, when I am doing a sponsored post with a brand, they are sending me or other influencers their lookbook or their catalog of the upcoming season. So generally you're selecting what you want to wear and post. Oftentimes you'll send in your top 3 or top 5 picks, and then they'll send you like what's available in your size, or what works the best for them, but you're picking. So I'm not signing a contract with a brand and then blindly opening a packages and saying, shoot, I don't like this at all.
Right. That was my next question. Yes. What if you don't like that season, the style they came up with?
Hopefully, if you have a good relationship with the brand, you can, and you've been honest with them the whole way. I think honesty and positive email etiquette and being polite and gracious take you everywhere in this industry, because a lot of people aren't like that, and I think people respect you immediately if you have good email etiquette. So I think if that's kind of been the basis of your relationship and you've been upfront with them the whole time, they then come around and say, we'd love to work with you on our fall campaign, and you're like, oh shoot, we're at the climate I live in, this doesn't really make sense, or I'm going to be in a snowy place for Christmas instead of a beach destination, so I don't think this is the right fit to promote your resort wear brand, or you know that I like more pastels, and this season it seems that you guys went with a lot of neutrals, let's touch base next season. They totally understand, and I think they appreciate it, because then they can go spend money on a different blogger that's obsessed with that line or that product and is going to be talking about it till the sun goes down, right, as opposed to you, they'd be like, oh, here's my dress, a little iffy about it, I only did it because I felt like I had to. It's just better policy to be upfront and be positive but honest.
Yeah. They probably also are more than happy to gather data if all the bloggers are saying that.
Definitely. Exactly.
That's a good feedback. It's like, okay, well, not a lot of people like this.
Yes, 100%.
And they can make adjustments.
Yep.
So I'm looking at Google right now. How many fashion bloggers are there? There
oh my gosh.
About 2 million, it says.
Yeah, there's that's a lot. Great Google. I've never Googled that.
You've never Googled?
There's definitely a lot.
It's crazy. So,
yes.
And which leads me to my next question. Do you think is the industry oversaturated? And is there room for newer ones?
It's definitely oversaturated, but at the same time, I do think there's room for new ones. Sometimes I feel like I know I don't know them maybe personally, but I know who they are, all the bigger, I'm saying that in quotes, bloggers in my region or in the country or on the East Coast, and then I'll click over to an Instagram account and be like, I've never heard of this girl, and she's obviously so talented, and she's got 125,000 Instagram followers. How have I never heard of her? Because there's just so many.
There's so many, yeah.
But at the same time, I definitely think there's room, because everybody is growing up with their generation too. Like, I'm now 29. So an 18-year-old isn't going to relate to my content the same way she would as an 18-year-old who's starting her blog. Whereas a 45-year-old mom who's got kids in middle school and high school also isn't going to relate to me because I don't have any kids. So I do think there's always room for new, growing in your generation and with your time. And if you have something interesting to say, then it shouldn't matter that there's 2 million other people with interesting things to say. You have your own perspective. Nobody else has your exact outlook and your perspective. So I always think if you feel passionate and you're talented and you've got that creative itch, you should go for it and not feel intimidated by the fact that, oh, there's 2 million other fashion bloggers. Well, they don't have your eye. They don't have your vocabulary. You can still definitely set yourself apart and find followers in your age group, in your region, in your price point, in all of those different demographics that will love what you have to say if you feel passionately about it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I love the growth part because you're right. I mean, you're 18 and then you progress and you are going to be into different things as you
Right.
get older.
Yes.
Um,
Exactly.
you
There's
know,
a cute girl I follow because I know her and she's in college. And so I see her partnerships and I see what she's posting about. And I kind of love it because it makes me think about college, but I don't relate to it at all. I remember feeling the way she feels, but she's got a whole college cohort that's,
Right.
obsessed with her. But, and I
Yeah.
just follow her because we're friends type thing. But I probably normally wouldn't be following that many college aged kids because we're at totally different
Would they
parts of our life.
would she start losing following then as she grows older, or that following stays?
Well, that following presumably stays with her because they're the same age as her. So then she's now looking for her first apartment in New York City or somewhere, and they're also moving out of their college town to a city. So they want to follow along with her as she does that. And then she's getting her first job, and then she's talking about how to master interviews and all these things. And they're like, I'm at the same stage of life, so they're following. And then she's talking how to build a smart workwear wardrobe for if you have to go to a dressier office. And then she's got a group of followers that are her age that are in the same predicament. So foreseeably, you're growing these followings and communities and networks, and they're following along life with you.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Let's talk about vanity metrics.
Okay.
So that's pretty huge right now because people are afraid to post because they don't get enough likes, they delete it.
Right.
It affects them mentally.
Yes.
How do you handle that? How does that work? And also, I want to talk about. Let's answer that question real quick.
Yes, I think it's very interesting, and I feel grateful to be in my generation too, because I definitely feel, and this is a generalization, so this isn't everybody that's, the generation younger than me, but I definitely don't feel value personally in my likes or my following because I didn't grow up with it. Like I wasn't in 6th grade, 9th grade, even sophomore year of college and judging my friendships or my popularity on who was liking my content because it didn't exist when I was growing up. So I do feel like it's a part of my life, and especially when I'm working with a brand, I really want it to do well because I believe in them and I want to be able to perform well for them. But for my personal feelings, I don't get that upset if somebody's not liking one of my photos. And I do think that's because I didn't grow up with it, and I'm generally happy and confident in my life. And I look at this as a part of my life, but not all my value is in this, I guess, if that makes sense.
Right.
I think it's definitely more difficult for kids who have not known a world really without social media.
Yeah.
Like I said, Instagram, I got it the last semester I was in college, my spring semester of college.
Yeah. There's a siren I was talking about
there
earlier.
It is.
Yeah. It never fails. It never fails. We're in downtown Somerville and there's always a fire somewhere.
There it is.
I hope everybody's okay.
Same.
So
did that answer your question?
You did. But
Okay.
what advice can you give, let's say, a college female who's
Yes.
starting out and they have 5 likes on a post?
Yes, I would say keep going for it and remember that those 5 people might be in love with what you posted, and then they might be heading to brunch this weekend and they're talking about you at the brunch table and telling your friends. So in the next week, your 5 likes might double and go to 10 likes. And treat every single follower with respect and compassion, kind of, because each one, it just seems like one follower and it's the slowest ticking away when you're just like watching it go from 100 to 200, and then you try to get to 1,000 and then people really want to get to 10,000 because they get the swipe up on Instagram. And just know that every follower is of value, and you should invest in forming that relationship with them when they're commenting and messaging you. And don't get discouraged because it doesn't happen overnight. And never put all your value into your perception of how you are on the internet, because that's not always how you are in real life. And you should always focus on your actual life and then have your internet life be a part of your actual life, is what I think.
Yeah.
And then what was I going to say? I had one more
So
thing.
just basically just keep going. Ignore the metrics. It's a long game.
It's a long game. It's definitely a marathon. It's not a sprint.
Right.
And yeah, just focus on little goals. Like I kind of always think about it as 100. So once I get to a new 100, I'm pumped. And so I kind of just think about taking away and growing. And yes, I'm definitely excited when I get to a new kind of benchmark that I want to hit. But because I'm excited because I've worked hard for it, but I'm not excited because I'm like, wow, these people are following me now. It's more like, oh, I'm putting in hard work and now this is a tangible result that I can see, I guess, if that makes sense.
And you have to remember, you have to engage, you have to leave comments,
Yes.
respond to comments,
Yes.
respond to DMs.
Yes,
And people ask me all the time, like, how do you build your following? It's like, I spend a lot of time on my phone responding. Just because people leave comments, oh, you're beautiful. You ignore it. A lot of people ignore it and don't say thank you.
Right, exactly.
You don't have to have a whole conversation, right?
Polite positivity. Yeah, you don't have to have a whole conversation, but the next time, if you acknowledge them and say thank you, then they might ask you a more in-depth question, and then you form a relationship, and then those are the people that are all about you and are telling their friends who get engaged, oh my gosh, you have to go check out this guy Virgil's Instagram because I've been following him for a year, and he's so awesome, and sometimes we chat on DM, and he tells me about how pretty Charleston is when he shoots weddings there or whatever.
Right.
So, yeah.
And obviously, photos and your aesthetic and your
Yes.
feed has to look good.
Right.
You have to make sure that that's on point. You
Yes.
can't just use iPhone photos these days.
Right. Yeah,
So-
especially like for you because your whole business is photography.
My feed is just all over the place.
Yeah.
But with bloggers, it's very important, especially with fashion. You know,
Mm-hmm.
if you like the pastel, you have to keep that consistent.
Right. Keep your whole look.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So it's definitely a lot of work. So tell me a little bit about how do you stay? I mean, it's a lot of hustle. Do you plan? Are you like in a
Yes.
30-day plan? I'm gonna post this tomorrow, and then the next day.
Yes,
How does that
definitely
work?
have a plan. Sometimes I roll with the punches and the plan evolves, but I have just a big editorial calendar where it's just Google on whatever. What do I use? Google Docs or Google something.
Google Calendar?
Google Drive. Well,
Google-
I have my calendar that I'll put meetings and events in, but then I have a separate editorial calendar
Gotcha.
where I'm putting in my blog posts and I color coordinate it based on topics so I can kind of see like, oh, I'm talking about fashion this whole month. I need to talk about wedding or home or something because now I have been doing it for a while, so I've expanded my content a little bit. So I do try to diversify somewhat now, but still only talking in areas where I feel comfortable.
Right.
I don't like to recommend things if I'm iffy on it because
Yeah.
why would anybody want to read that?
Right.
So
Like if you're traveling, you'll see it there. I'm traveling in this week, and like you
Yes.
told me you're traveling this month.
yes,
So that's part of it. It's gonna be
exactly. And then I'm planning ahead. Okay, I'm traveling to the mountains, so I'm going to start shooting my fall content. And then I'm thinking about the brands, reaching out to brands or brands are reaching out to me. And I'm like, oh, actually, it's not going to be fall in Charleston for a while, but I'm going to be in this destination. So I'm planning my fall content, and that's kind of when I'll be shooting it and kicking it off.
like, are you going to Wyoming?
Yes.
So you're emailing your brands now, and they're sending you, or at least should be soon, some fall stuff.
Yes, exactly.
That's
So,
awesome.
yeah. So
So is that like a business expense when you travel like that? I mean,
Wyoming, no, because I'm visiting family.
right.
So,
but how does that?
sometime, I mean, if I'm in Wyoming and I'm having lunch with like Carrie Patterson, who I know you're friends with.
Yes, I love
taken,
Carrie.
I love Carrie. She's taken some photos for me in Jackson Hole before. Then I'll write that off because we're meeting before, after we're taking a photo shoot, or we're meeting and we're talking about something in the industry and how she's growing and if we could work together in any
Right.
capacity.
Yeah.
But no, travel, I don't know.
It's tricky.
It's tricky. I always kind of default to my financial advisor. I've been to New York Fashion Week a time or two, and like that, you can write that trip off.
So do you have like an accountant giving you advice now about these? Because this is a relatively new industry.
Yeah.
And some of the accountants probably don't even know what influencer marketing
Correct.
is.
I
so-
definitely kind of had to explain to mine what I was doing, and then I actually, when I married Edwin, his business was all with his business partner was with their accountant who's LA based because that's where their business is based. So I switched over to using him, and he gets it way more because he represents different people in the film industry, and he represents athletes and I don't even know music. We're small fish for him,
Right.
So
Yeah.
so he gets it a little bit more because he's California based and works in that industry. So he really will tell me, okay, you can do this, or okay, you can't do that.
Right.
And I don't push it because I'm 0% an expert in that. So I just follow what he says.
You just follow it. Yeah.
Yes. But
That's kind of tricky. Like, what do you do with the clothes that you want to buy for brands that you're trying to work with? Because sometimes you would want to do that, right? If you want to work with Ralph Lauren, if you like that, you would buy
Ralph Lauren would be like a major goal.
Yeah.
Yes. If you would buy it normally and you see yourself having, especially if it's Ralph Lauren, it's good quality, you're going to have it in your closet for a long time. If you would buy it no matter what, because you know you're going to wear it on this trip and then you're going to wear it every year when you go back there with your family or whatever, then I say go for it and tag it. And if the brand, tag it on your Insta story, and if their PR gal responds, and even if she just sends a heart emoji or says love it or something, respond back and say thank you so much. I have a couple more images from this. Do you have an email address I can forward it along to? And she'll send you an email. It might go nowhere, but always finding ways to connect with brands and tag the brands naturally all the time, because that definitely leads to paid partnerships.
If you scale all of that exactly what you said, that sounds like a lot of work. I mean, this is your full-time job.
Yes.
So you're not a teacher anymore.
Correct.
So
I'm not a teacher anymore.
Are you still enjoying it? You still love it?
Yes. Sometimes, when it was my side thing to teaching, I would be so excited to get home and work on it. And then once it becomes your full thing, just like anything else, more work goes into it. I'm doing way more now for it than I was, so it becomes more work.
Because there's always something to do.
There's always something to do. Yes, exactly. And there's definitely times where I will put off writing a blog post or going over contracts or something till the end of the day, and I'm like, how am I just starting this? I don't want to do this. I don't have a boss. No one's holding me accountable. So you really have to hold yourself accountable.
That's important.
Yes, definitely.
You kind of have to be a self-starter.
Definitely a self-starter. Like anything, it is a business. So if anybody who's starting a business, got to be self-starter and love it and be motivated by it, and realize that in the dark moments when you really don't want to do it, or you're just lost all your creative drive or whatever, that you're probably going to be inspired by it the next day or the next week. And so you just got to keep chugging.
Does it get lonely? Because really, at the end of the day, it's on you and you're by yourself.
Right. My husband works from home when he's not traveling on the road on set. So it's nice that having him around. But yes, when he's gone for extended periods of time, it's just my dog and me.
Yeah.
It definitely gets lonely.
Yeah.
But I'm a pretty social person, so I try to do stuff in the evenings, fill my weekends, especially since we moved to Charleston 2 years ago. We've been trying to make friends anyways, so the fact that I work from home and that Edwin travels a good bit has definitely pushed me to make more friends. So if I know I'm going to be home for a long stretch, I try to meet a friend for a walk in the evening or a workout class or a drink or something.
So is your brain always thinking, oh, I could blog about that. Oh, I could wear that. Ooh. Is it just like nonstop? How do you stop it? Like, how do you?
You don't really. And I always like typing things into notes on my phone or sending myself emails like with an idea to add to my editorial calendar. Or if I still write handwritten to-do lists each day. And if I'm like in the car driving or something, at a red light, I'm emailing myself something to write down on my to-do list when I get home so I don't forget. But yes, I'm always thinking, the wheels are always turning, because that's kind of part of it. I get ideas and I'm inspired by what is around me and what I see and where I'm traveling and the people I'm meeting and who I'm interacting with. So as an influencer or a blogger, putting that in quotes too.
Yeah.
Yes. You're really sharing your life. So I'm inspired by like what I see in my life. So it kind of never really shuts off.
Yeah.
Yes.
Man, that sounds like a lot of work.
Yes. But you also won't catch me when I'm with my friends that aren't bloggers or have Instagrams. I am not stopping everybody's day to take outfit photos or to stand on a chair in a restaurant to get an overhead shot of the table. I definitely realize that it's not for everybody, and I try to full blown maintain a regular.
Right.
I mean, I'm a regular person, so maintaining a regular life is very easy.
Yes.
But I definitely try to respect my friends. Don't bring their work into our time when we're together. So
Right.
I try not to either.
Put away the phones.
Exactly.
Just have a conversation.
Yes.
And enjoy each other's company.
Yes.
So there, you recognize the boundaries and.
Yes. Once again, I kind of feel like that goes back to the fact that I didn't grow up with social media and blogs, and so it was never. I know what it's like to live without it.
Yeah.
So I know how to engage in the world without it.
Right.
Yeah.
Is video, YouTube, podcast in the works, or is that something?
Yes, I always say, because Edwin, my husband's a cinematographer, I'm like, we should do video, but I'm still at the stage of we should do video. Like I was saying earlier, I'm not at a point where I'm passionate about or clear on what I would be videoing, so I don't want to do it just for the sake of doing it. I want to make sure if I do it when I'm fully prepared, ready to hit the ground running, clear cut of my goals, what I'm trying to achieve with it, what I want to share. So I'm not there yet, but maybe someday.
What's next for you?
I just this week relaunched my website with all new branding and a whole new web design. So that was months in the works. So I'm very excited about that.
Talk about that. Let's talk. What's the website?
Yes. My website is called Rhyme and Reason, and it's the handle. I've had it forever, so I would probably buy a different URL now, but it's www.rhyme and spelled out reason Jillian JILLIAN.com. So rhyme and reason Jillian.com. And yeah, it's more elevated, more where I'm at in my life, it's a little bit less girly, a little more clean lines, but also more, I think interacting on my website is much more engaging and interesting now. It still feels like a blog, but more like a website, more elevated than your standard kind of blog layout. And if people read blogs a lot, they kind of generally know what a blog looks like. So it's just an elevated version of that. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Any other goals? What are the goals?
On a personal level, we're moving into our house soon.
You're building us a house.
We are.
That's a whole other podcast.
Yeah, exactly. We are remodeling and restoring an old house.
Oh,
so
gotcha.
It's been quite the project. And
in downtown Charleston.
Yes, downtown, and we're hopefully moving in. Let's see, it's Labor Day weekend almost. So I don't know, a month or so moving in.
Exciting.
And yes, we're very excited. On a personal level, I can't wait to be in our house. We are living at my parents' house right now. So it'll be great to be in our own space that we've been working hard for and saving and spending money on. And I'm also excited for it for my business because, as you say, like my wheels are always turning, and I have never really done much in the interiors or home space. But once we're in our house, and it's kind of the first time where either my husband or I are investing money into a home instead of, random apartment and buying a sofa from a sample floor sale that we don't really care about. Like, we're actually putting our personalities and stuff into this house. So I'm excited to kind of expand my content at the same time as moving into my house. So yeah.
That's awesome. So you'll be shooting some in there.
Yes,
that's
definitely.
Awesome.
I'm very excited, especially for brand partnerships, to have a place to shoot. And we have a little courtyard to shoot and a pretty kitchen and just a living room. And
with lots of windows.
Yes, all the natural light.
Natural light, of course.
Exactly, yes.
What else is next for you outside of the renovation?
That is
content on the website.
It's crazy, but we're going into holiday, which I just said it's Labor Day weekend. But holiday is the biggest time in influencer marketing. Mm-hmm. And it will be interesting to kind of see actually how it goes this year, because last year there was some backlash within the industry that there was so much sponsored content, more so than ever, which just reflects the direction of the industry, that more brands are putting a lot more money behind influencer marketing than they are in other forms of marketing, like digital ads or print placement. So that kind of can't be helped, but there was some backlash because I think people felt like they were only being fed sponsored content last holiday season. So we'll see how that goes, if people taper off, if they're doing, bigger, less projects, but bigger ones, or I don't know, it'll be interesting. But conversations around holiday campaigns are already starting and thinking about holiday strategy. I'm also thinking about that in terms of our house, because this will be the first time where I'll be able to kind of shoot some content in our home, which is like where people celebrate the holidays in their house.
Right.
So
That's awesome.
yeah, my wheels are turning about the holidays.
Exciting stuff.
Yes.
Where can people find you?
Yeah, so my website, which I mentioned, and then on Instagram, it's my name. So it's at Jillian _Eversole. So it's Jillian, JILLIAN _ Eversole, which is EV as in victory, ERSOLE.
Sweet.
Yes.
Thanks so much for coming.
Thanks for having me.
I'd love to bring you back again. I know this is such a big topic that there's so many questions that
I know. I hope
people
I
are
didn't
asking.
talk too much,
Oh,
because
no.
sometimes I ramble.
No, it's perfect. It's perfect. I just think it's such a big topic that people have constant questions, and then the industry is just constantly changing.
Yes, it's
So-
changing all the time with how brands are working, how platforms like Instagram are changing their algorithms, everything. Instagram, you were talking about likes, it's getting rid of likes soon, so
Yeah.
that will change how things go. So yeah,
I'd
if
love for
people
you
have
to-
follow-up questions, I would love to come back.
That'd be awesome. Yeah. So if you have any questions, bug me, DM me. I'd love to have Jillian back. She's such a great guest here at the podcast. Thank you so much. We're wrapping it up from there. Guys, thanks so much for listening, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.
Bye.